distinguished Toastmasters. We have many distinguished Toastmasters here in our district. And basically, if you are looking for a mentor, so if you don't happen to be a co-coach, because having co-coaches allows you to kind of help each other out as well. If you're a single coach, having a mentor can help you out. We can talk to some experienced DTMs in your division and see if they're open to coaching you as a coach. So you have many different options here available to you for your support. Let's see. Okay, so now the next one is everyone benefits from having this club coach program. I think it's so amazing to have this program available. Club officers benefit. They have a support person to be there to help guide them as they think about their distinguished club program, as they think about implementing things. It helps club members because this person's coming in, bringing new energy, new ideas, helping get ideas from members, solicit ideas for them, having members actually execute on their own ideas. So it really benefits the members as well. It benefits the club coach. I mean, I've seen so many coaches over the years grow so much during their club coach experience. And sometimes it's growth in different areas of patience or understanding or empathy or just getting their own excitement up. There's so many things that it can benefit from the coach on top of working towards your distinguished Toastmasters. This, I want to be very open. This is one of the ways that you can get credit and it can go towards your distinguished Toastmaster. The district, division, and area. The more clubs are succeeding and thriving and growing and being coached, the more our areas are reaching distinguished, the more our divisions are reaching distinguished, the more our district is reaching distinguished, select distinguished, presidents distinguished. This program allows clubs to grow and expand and thrive and have amazing communities. And when that happens, everybody benefits all the way up to Toastmasters International. So this program is really important to help our district and our divisions and our areas grow and thrive. In Toastmasters International. Okay, so now we've come to the part where we are going to hear from club success stories. But before I do that, does anybody else have anything to add before I get to the success stories? Anything you want to hear or I didn't touch upon in this moment?
I
I
have
just
one
want to
quick
add
question.
something. Oh, go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tom. If you have co-coaches and they're both going for DTM, does only one of them get it or do both?
Both of them get it. They sign the club coach, as long as they both sign the club coach document, they both get credit.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Tom, yes.
I'm going to throw this question out to everybody. Why is it important, other than creating a healthy club that's distinguished, why is it important to have a successful club coach for maybe the area and division, as you touched upon, Maria? Is that too vague of a question? Maybe it is. I know. I was thinking about that. The distinguished.
Oh, David has his hand raised before
Okay.
you.
Go ahead.
If I understand correctly, why is it important to have club coaches? Well, there are some clubs that lose the experienced Toastmaster as they grow. You have times that the experienced Toastmaster follow other things in their paths or in their Toastmaster journey. So it leaves some of these clubs with new members without that experience they need to keep building the club and bringing more people in. So the club coach has the ability to step in and provide the training or have the executive team provide the training. It gives them direction to bring that, again, that leadership or that experience back to the club. But a club coach can also bring in other members from other clubs, other area directors in different ways to help that club also. So, and we can touch on that if we have time at the end of this.
Yeah.
Hope that answers your questions.
You nailed that, because I didn't ask that question very well. But it shows newer members, especially. Just maybe members that don't attend anything other than that club, that there is life beyond the club. You can have, I know DJ has done area, I think you call them soirees. And, you can get involved with other things in your division and district. And it's just a really great opportunity to see those new members, to see that there's other things other than your club. And you can have fun with other members in our district. So thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, I had so much fun during my club coaching time, which I'll get into later. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to move along. So oh, David, yes.
I have something I want to bring up. I don't think it's been mentioned.
Mhm.
When you're assigned as a club coach, your term does expire, and it's important to make sure that a club coach files in a demand to be extended. If you miss that deadline, you lose. And if that club is below 8 members, you cannot be appointed a club coach. So this is something very important that we as a team need to be aware of, is the club coaches, when their term expires, they're not extended, and that club is below 8, it's a problem.
Yes, definitely. And there was, we did touch upon it that the term as no less than 6 months, and then you have up to 2 years. So the great thing is we do have reporting that we can run to see when a club coach was assigned, so we know when their expiration date is, so that we can make sure to reach out to them and be like, hey, how's it going? They should be submitting those. If they're submitting those 60-day reports like they're supposed to be, we'll be in the know of where the goals are, how they're doing, and if they're attending the monthly meetings, again, we'll know what's going on, how's the club doing, remind them of dates coming up, that they'll be aware of. But yeah, definitely making sure that they have, that if they need to be reappointed, that they can on time. But yes, it does expire. Thank you, David. All right, next up, we are going to hit on some club success stories. I think it's always important. I'm going to actually stop sharing so that we can see all the people on the screen. So the first person that I am going to call upon that we're going to hear from, the first one is going to be Donna Jean Turgeon. She is a amazing person. She was your last year, so prior years, public relations manager for District 45. I actually met her when at a contest. When I kind of first came into Toastmasters, there was some contest and she was in a different area than me. So I was I think it was the division level that I ended up seeing her. And I remember her giving a speech that I literally cried at. But it was a really heartfelt speech. And I was so surprised she didn't win. Like, I didn't understand contests. That's a whole other conversation that you can go into. But I was like, how did she not win? I was literally in tears the whole time. I'm not understanding this. That's how I met Donna Jean, is she made me cry the first time I met her. And I've seen her throughout the Toastmaster journey. I've watched her be a mentor, a coach. She's been a sponsor as well. And then to do the public relations at the district level, it has been fantastic seeing her just spread throughout the district and show up in an amazing way. So I'm going to let Donna DJ, as she goes by DJ, share a little bit more about her time as a club coach and what she experienced, some good things and obviously some challenges and how she overcame them. So on to you, DJ. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, Maria. Always happy to make people laugh or cry in contests too, so thank you for that. I was recently a club coach for Speechifier this last Toastmaster year, and I had to think hard on whether or not I wanted to be a club coach, because I was a club coach 6 years ago, I guess, for a club that's no longer in existence. It was awful. I swore I would never, ever, ever be a club coach again after that. I said, I will do anything else, but I will never be a club coach, because the club wanted a club coach. They said they had the buy-in. They were going to do work as a team. They had everything. We were assigned as a club coach, Bill Crosby and I, and they sat down and did nothing. And every time we went there, it was like being held hostage. It was horrible. And then just before they decided they were going to fold the club, they got mad and said, well, you know, as club coaches, you didn't do anything. You should have been running the meetings. You should have been doing the speeches. You should have been bringing in the members. You should have been talking to the guests. Like, what part of the initial conversation did you miss? Now, this was before everybody needed to do the club coach module, which I think is great. Fast forward all these years, last year, I said, okay, I'll do Speechify. First of all, they were an advanced club, so it's not like they didn't know what to do. They weren't, it's not like they were having ineffective meetings. They just needed a club coach. So Patricia Saucier and I coached them, and it was night and day. It was enjoyable. We gave them suggestions. We had conversations as a team. Some of the suggestions they liked, some they implemented, some of them, nope. My question was, why do you meet at 9:30 my time, 10:30 your time on a Saturday? I think that maybe if you met earlier, well, they have a couple of people who are not morning people. And I'm sorry, it was out of my mouth before I could control it. But I knew all these people anyway. But it's like, suck it up, Buttercup. It's twice a month. Come on, you can't get out of bed earlier. But they were adamant about that, and it was fine. They weren't really sure they were going to be distinguished. Patricia and I had no doubt because they wanted to succeed. They did not want to see this club fold. And they ended up as select distinguished. And I give all the credit to the members because they're the ones who really did the work. But we worked as a team. And I think the fact that all of the club officers did the coaching module. And like one of the clubs I belong to now, we have club coaches, and we're having all of the members, not just the officers, all the members take the club coach module because we want to be as successful for our club coaches as Speechify was for Patricia and I. So it was really a night and day experience. And because of Speechify, if the opportunity arose again, I would more than likely say, yeah, okay, I'll be a club coach.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that you did not give up. I understand that was really, really hard. And so thank you for coming back forward and helping that club thrive. So great job. Our next speaker is Todd Rothstein. So Todd, I actually met when I was coaching. I was coaching Greater Portland Toastmasters with Daryl, and Todd was the president. He was actually the incoming president. So I think he was like the VPE when we came in and then became president. And Todd was ready to learn. He was ready to do, and he inspired his officer team to also learn and do at that time. And we had DCP meetings. We had meetings afterwards with the executive team. We talked about what was going well, what couldn't go well. Like the communication was fantastic. I had so much fun in that meeting. And I remember when we first started, there was like maybe a six or eight core people. And when we were done, it was 29 members that were there. And it was all attributed to what the members did in the growth. So when it came time for Todd to be a club coach, he remembered that experience and he wanted to give service. So I'm going to let Todd share a little bit about his coaching experience, kind of what went well, what were some of the challenges, and how did he overcome them. So you're up, Todd.
Thank you, Maria. I do want to start with the fact that my club coaching experience was one as an incoming president, where again Maria and Daryl were the club coaches. I really didn't know them, and I will say the greatest question that they posed to our club was this: it's your club. What do you want to do with it? And I said, really? Like, that's an option? We could do things? I had no idea. Like, we could inspire ourselves and try things and create. And they said, yeah, in Maria's voice, yeah. And it was just like, go for it. And so from that is when our team did our first thing we did was the club success plan. We created it. And then out of that, we also created the 90-day onboarding. And we also, it's a document on how to deal with prospects, how to deal with new members. And then from there, we created a document that created, how do we actually respond to prospects? Because no one had a direction. It was like we were a rugby club of just figure it out every other week. And yet we wanted to show that we were part of an international organization. So yes, we went from about 6 members to over 29 members. We had to change the orientation of how we were sitting. We used to huddle in a circle. Next thing you know, we had rows going, because it was inspiring. It was daunting, first of all, because there were new members on top of new members on top of new members. I don't know how you train all those people. But after that, yes, I stayed with Greater Portland Toastmasters, and then was reached out to Kenny, would you like to be a club coach? And participated with Blueberry Hill Toastmasters, which was a long-standing club that had the motivation, but recognized that they wanted a coach. And so I took that same mantra. It's your club. What do you want to do with it? And they wanted the greater things. But here's some of the things that I focused on with this club. It was mostly about the structural processes. Again, how to respond to prospects, the new piece. Like there's a piece on what to send somebody right away when they inquire. Because as we know, club size is cyclical. However, there are people out there by the dozens that either have a perceived fear or a perceived deficiency in public speaking. So there's always somebody checking us out, but it's how we respond to them. And that was the first thing we put together. The club orientation, or the 90-day piece, it was revised and improved based on Blueberry Hill. The other was to stress education, be member-centric, right? It's one thing to have fun. It's like fun helps learning, but education is what people come for. The other was participate and motivate. We had the coach's corner, and that was my role at times, was to motivate or at least bring that expertise into the room. The other was the club success plan. That's on my list. And that really did drive our goals. The challenges. The challenge is not to be overwhelmed as the coach and take on all the responsibilities of teaching and making sure that we have X amount of new members to meet distinguished levels. The other is not to take the responsibility across too many tasks. I'll be the VPE. I'll be the membership person. I'll step in and be all these things. Like, be careful, because that's not your role. And DJ already kind of shared her first round with that. It doesn't work. You become burnt out, and it's about mentoring people to actually become successful leaders. Remind people that Toastmasters is not a spectator sport. Like, it's not for you to listen to me every other week and teach you something. It's for you to come here every other week and practice what you learned in between the last meeting and show what you learned. So be a participant. That's what Toastmasters is. You're not going to learn just from the one person in the front of the room. Be an active member. And finally, inspire without dominating. Right? You can just come in, and I think, Maria, you mentioned it, like your first meeting, go in and listen, and that is important. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen to the group, read the room, understand the dynamics. And if you have experience as a Toastmaster, that confidence to be willing to put yourself out there, to be able to prove to yourself that you can be successful without doing it all, and working with others to build a group is very inspirational and very prideful. So those are the things that I kept in mind as what I brought to the club. And both times, of course, as a president with a mentor, we were presidents distinguished. As a club coach, we were I think we were select distinguished. We were just, but regardless, we were distinguished. And what begets out of this excitement and inspiration is that I was working for them and they were working for me because they wanted me to be successful too. Tom was a part of Blueberry Hill Toastmasters, and he was, we got to do this for Todd. We got to, but we were doing it for him and them and everyone. What do they say? Something about lift all boats, right? We were doing that. And excitement and energy is what inspires more people because they want to be a part of it. And I think if you can bring that steadfast consistency, confidence, and understanding the process, don't forget, like fledgling clubs, just they abandon all of the rules, all of the processes, and get desperate as opposed to wait, let's work the program one and slowly but surely you find success. And so that is my 2 cents. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Our last guest up tonight to share their story is David Cormier. I just met him recently, just last night. So he was kind enough to send me an introduction. So I'm going to share the introduction with you and then we're going to welcome David. So David started his Toastmasters journey in October 2011 at Riverview Canusa Toastmasters. In the following year, he ventured to different clubs in his area. In June 2016, he received credit for coaching a club to distinguished status. In June 2020, he attained the designation of Distinguished Toastmaster. The following year, he returned to his home club as a club coach. Please help me welcome David Cormier with What Went Well, What Went Wrong, How Did the Club Survive the COVID Pandemic? David Cormier.
Can you guys all hear me? Perfect. I was first approached to coach my home club, which was the club that first started, where I started my journey, like my introduction said. This would have been late fall 2020. Following, I attended a few meetings and told them if they wanted me as a coach, they'd have to get together, vote for it, and accept me as a coach. And that's all took place around November. Now, the meetings that I attended at the time, I went there 3 to 4 meetings to see what was going on. I was happy. This was a scenario of the meeting. Member would arrive at around 7 o'clock. They would decide who would do what in the meeting rooms, and the meeting started that way. And they had a really big agenda at the time. So you ended up having members taking some of them 2 to 3 roles. So once the meeting got going, we had people that got lost, knowing what they had to do. And it went from being not a good meeting to being a really bad meeting. And this happened time and time again. Now, once I became their coach, they asked me for suggestions. I started with 3 of them. First thing I said to them is, shorten your agenda. Don't have so many meeting roles. Just use the basics. That would take some of the stress off of the people. The second thing was to fill out the agenda at the end of the meeting for the next coming up meeting. And the third was to have monthly executive meetings. Now I was invited to one of their executive meetings following, not too long after. Again, when I was there, each one took their turn talking. But what was being discussed at the executive meeting is what was not being done by other members. So there was a lot of finger pointing happening. And I felt there was a lot of animosity between the executive members. Even though this was going on, we still ended up at that time, or the executive team ended up accepting to do a special event that was coming up in January. River Canusa at the time was going to hit what you call 1,000 meeting. So it happened on January the 2nd, 2021. That's when they were going to hit that meeting. So a special event. So they voted and accepted that. And at the end of the meeting, they asked me if I had any suggestions. I said it would be a good idea to look at building a club success plan, to start with that. And they voted on it, and everybody agreed that was the road to take. So this was set up to be the executive team to start working on club success plan. 2 executive members showed up. I was asked if we were still going to work on the plan. I said, as long as 1 member shows up, we were working on the plan, and I suggested we share the progress of what we work with the other executive and send it by email, inviting them again to come to the next meeting. Now, I was, at the time, had given them a commitment to be there twice a month, even though they met weekly. So twice a month, we had put time aside also to where I could meet with the executive that would show up and work on this club success plan. Now, as the time went by, we had our 100-month special event meeting on January 2nd, 2001. And most of the members came and helped out to make this a great event. This is what went well. Now, what went wrong? Well, after that special 1,000-month evening event meeting, the members stopped coming. By April of that year, we were left with only 2 original members attending the meeting. All others had not rejoined the club. Some of those were paid up till September, but they stopped coming in the meeting. And to make things worse, out of the 2 remaining executive members, 1 was leaving the country to go to university in the upcoming summer. So by September, there was 1 original member left from that club. And on October 1st, that club was suspended because they didn't have 8 renewing members. Now, what went well? Let's go back to June of that same year. We had our successful plan done. So we had an action plan. Another club coach was approached and accepted to join us. So by September, we started the year by applying the action plan we had put together. Now in January 2022, a year after the first event, we had 8 active members and the club was reinstated. In March 2022, same year, we were at 13 active members. And by June 2022, Rivicanusa Toastmaster qualified as a distinguished club. Now, I'm going to tell you, there were times that I had one member come and say, oh, we continue? I says, as long as you show up, we continue. And it was funny because even during that whole period of time after June, we had members that came, I should say guests, and became members. They joined the club. And the reason I want to talk about this is we lose members yearly for all different reasons in club. And if we don't have a program in place to get new members, this is something that can happen to a lot of clubs. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it. That's so awesome to go from 1 member to reaching distinguished. Congratulations on that. That is fantastic. Well, that's all that we have tonight for you on the Club Coach program. I'm available for questions. I forgot to share the slide and I will send it out. Not from beginning. I can't see. There's a resource page. So we'll send out the presentation. I'll get it to somebody so that we can have it. And that includes the resources from where you can go on Toastmasters as well as my direct contact information. So I'm going to end this training and thank you so much. And we're going to stop recording. And I think Jenny has some messages for us.